You felt it but couldn't name it. The smarter you get, the colder the room becomes, and you're paying a tax nobody warned you about. You walk into rooms and notice things other people don't. You see through the polite lies, you catch the agenda behind the smile. And lately you've started noticing something worse. People are treating you differently. Friends pull back, bosses get tense, strangers find reasons to dislike you on sight. You haven't done anything wrong, that's the problem. At the end of this, you'll understand exactly why high intelligence at 25 turns you into a target, and why the people punishing you for it usually don't even know they're doing it. Stay to the end. The last point is the one most people skip, and it's the one that actually changes how you operate in the world. There's a phenomenon Australian and British researchers have studied for decades. They call it the tall poppy syndrome. The principle is brutal in its simplicity. When a poppy grows taller than the others in the field, people cut it down to size. Not because it did anything wrong, because it stood out. Human beings are wired for status comparison. It's not a flaw, it's evolutionary hardware. Robert Sapolsky's work on primate hierarchies showed that the ones lower in the pecking order spend enormous mental energy tracking who's above them. The moment they perceive someone climbing, through skill, intelligence, attention, anything, their threat detection lights up. That's what's happening to you. You think clearly, you speak precisely, you connect dots faster than the average person in the room. To you, it feels like just being yourself. To the people around you, it registers as a status threat. Their nervous system doesn't ask why you're sharper, it just flags you as someone who could move past them. And here's where it gets darker. They don't consciously decide to dislike you. The hostility shows up as small things. They interrupt you more. They take credit for your ideas. They leave you out of plans. They roll their eyes when you speak. They call you arrogant for saying things they can't follow. The Dunning-Kruger effect tells you the people least able to recognize competence are the ones most likely to dismiss it. So the dumber the room, the more punished you are for being awake in it. You're 25. You're trying to figure out where you fit. And the world is quietly teaching you that the more capable you become, the more friction you generate just by existing. That's not paranoia. That's behavioral science. But that's only the surface layer. The next part is where it gets genuinely strange. There's an old Greek myth most people skim past. Cassandra was given the gift of true prophecy and the curse that nobody would ever believe her. She saw the war coming. She told the truth. She was treated like a lunatic until the city burned. This is happening to you and you don't even know it. Schopenhauer wrote that talent hits a target no one else can hit, but genius hits a target no one else can see. The brutal implication, if you can see something nobody else sees, you're going to spend a huge portion of your life being doubted, dismissed, or laughed at for being right too early. Not punished for being wrong, punished for being correct before everyone else caught up. If this is landing, save this video. You'll want to come back to this. Think about every smart guy you've watched get sidelined. One who flagged the obvious problem in the project 6 months before it blew up and got labeled negative. The friend who told you your relationship was off and got cut out for it. You yourself probably telling someone an uncomfortable truth and watching them choose comfort over accuracy. There's a psychological reason. It's called the backfire effect. When you present someone with information that contradicts their identity, their brain interprets it as a personal attack. They don't update. They double down, and they remember you as the source of the discomfort. So the smarter you are, the more accurately you see, the more often you trigger that defense in other people. You become associated with the unpleasant feeling of being wrong. Even when you say nothing, people sense you're someone who notices, and nobody likes feeling watched. This is why intelligence at 25 isn't just unrewarded, it's actively expensive. You pay it in friendships that thin out. You pay it in jobs where the mediocre operator gets promoted over you because he makes the boss feel safe. You pay it in dating, where women in your age range are often calibrating for social ease, not depth, and depth reads as intensity, which reads as threat. We'll come back to the dating piece in a moment because there's a counterintuitive angle there most people get completely wrong. For now, sit with this. The world is not designed to reward the perceptive. It's designed to reward the agreeable. Those are not the same skill. Open Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power to the first page. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Greene didn't invent this. He pulled it from 500 years of court politics, from Machiavelli watching the Medici, from people who'd seen what happens when a brilliant subordinate makes a powerful person feel inferior. The answer historically was usually exile or death. Today it's a quiet performance review and a layoff. The mechanism is identical. Here's what nobody told you about being smart in the workplace at 25. Your competence is not the asset you think it is. Your competence, displayed wrong, is a liability. Because every system you walk into already has a hierarchy, already has people who climbed it, and those people now have status they cannot afford to lose. The moment you signal that you might be smarter than the person above you, you stop being an employee and start being a threat. This is the Machiavellian intelligence hypothesis, developed by primatologists Bion and White. They studied apes and concluded that high cognition in primates didn't evolve to solve problems in nature. It evolved to manage social complexity, to read intentions, manipulate alliances, outmaneuver rivals within the group. Your big brain was not built for spreadsheets. It was built for politics. But most smart 25-year-olds were never told this. They were told to work hard, get good grades, demonstrate value. So they walk into adult environments displaying competence like a peacock displays feathers, and they cannot understand why they keep getting passed over. The guy with half their ability and twice their political awareness gets the promotion. Every time. Quick question. Drop it in the comments. Have you ever been the most capable person in the room and watched someone less capable get the credit? I want to know. Because if you have, this next part is going to hit. The truth almost nobody states out loud: being liked is a more reliable status currency than being smart, especially before age 30. Likability lowers other people's threat response. Intelligence raises it, so you have two choices. You can keep being the obvious sharpest mind in every room and keep getting iced out. Or you can study the rules of the game you've been losing without knowing you were playing. There's a phrase Green uses: conceal your intentions. Dark Triad research, Paulhus and Williams, found that people who score higher in strategic detachment tend to climb hierarchies faster than equally intelligent people who don't. Not because manipulation is good, because visibility is dangerous when you don't yet have leverage. At 25, you have intelligence and you have time. You do not yet have leverage, so flashing the intelligence without the leverage is like waving cash in a bad neighborhood. You're going to get robbed, quietly, repeatedly. By people you thought were on your team. Here's the reframe nobody hands you. Intelligence is a raw material. It is not by itself power. It becomes power only when paired with discretion, timing, and a brutally accurate read on the room you're standing in. The mistake most sharp young men make is treating their intelligence as an identity instead of a tool. They want to be known as the smart one. They want credit. They want to be recognized. And that desire for recognition is exactly what makes them visible, which is exactly what makes them targets. The men you've watched quietly accumulate power before 30 pay attention to a pattern. They don't argue in meetings. They don't correct people publicly. They don't reveal what they know. They listen more than they speak. They let people underestimate them on purpose. Sun Tzu wrote that when you're strong, appear weak. He wasn't being poetic. He was describing a survival mechanism. The Cassandra trap closes when you stop trying to convince people you're right. Start letting them arrive at conclusions on their own, conclusions you guided them to. That's the difference between being smart and being effective. Smart announces, effective arranges. You don't have to play dirty, you have to play awake. The world isn't going to stop punishing high perception. So you adapt, you hide the moves, you build leverage privately. You let the loud guys exhaust themselves competing for visible status while you build invisible position. By 30, the gap is enormous and nobody saw it coming. Here's the part most people skip, the one I told you to stay for. The deepest hidden tax of high intelligence isn't social rejection. It isn't being passed over. It's something quieter. It's the slow drift into cynicism. Smart young men, after enough years of being misread, start to assume the worst of everyone. They isolate. It gets sharper but colder. They start to believe nobody is worth showing up for. And that belief is the one that actually destroys their life, not the people around them. The tax isn't paid in lost opportunities. It's paid in the version of yourself you become trying to survive the resentment. Stay strategic. Don't get bitter. Bitterness is the one form of stupidity intelligent men are most vulnerable to. If you've gotten this far, you already know the kind of content I make on this channel. No fake positivity, no grind harder nonsense, just the rules nobody else is willing to say out loud for people sharp enough to handle them. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next drop. There's more coming and a lot of it will hit harder than this did. One thing to hold on to before you close this. The friction you're feeling at 25 isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's the signal that something is right. You're seeing what most people can't see, and the world is responding the way it always responds to that, quietly with resistance. You don't need to dim yourself. You need to get strategic about when you show your hand and to whom. That single shift will rewrite the next 5 years of your life. If this hit, my video on Law 1, Never Outshine the Master and how to actually apply it without becoming invisible, that one will land even harder now that you understand the tax. Watch that one next.